Joining me now is the great Kevin O'Leary, chairman of O'Leary Ventures. And Kevin, what's the name? We didn't even put your book up there. What's the name of your book? I want to give you the full book play.
Men, Women, and Money. They're all linked together, Larry.
Okay. So, Kevin, I want to get your first take here. What's up with Janet Yellen today, basically signaling, and there's a whole lot of evidence behind it, that they are looking, the government, the Treasury, the FDIC, the White House, who the hell knows, they're all looking at universal bailouts, universal guarantees of uninsured depositors. Big, medium, small. She put that out, by the way. First Republic went up 50% the stock. The nanosecond they heard her speech at the American Bankers Association. What do you think about that, Kevin?
Well, I'm quite amazed, Larry, in the last 48 hours of a bipartisan blowback against these proposals, because people have come to the reality, and most people have good sense about this, that Silicon Valley Bank and First Republic and Signature Bank, they were just poorly managed banks, and they went to zero because of it, or on their way to zero. And that's okay. That does not take down the economy. And there was no need to threaten policy or even think about raising every single account limit just because a really poorly run bank went to zero. That to me, it's almost like, okay, Lehman goes to zero, Bear Stearns goes to zero. It doesn't change the economy. The economy is quite diverse. And now we're in this moral dilemma about, and this is the narrative. You know, today I'm in Fargo, North Dakota. There are no banks here going to zero. It's a very well-run state, and it has its own sovereign bank, and it just laughs when it sees what's going on in California or in New York, because they run a tight ship here, and they take care of their real estate loans on the regional banks, and they make sure that they're loaning money in a prudent way. I think every state should run that way. So the narrative that I think Yellen has forced on the country, and is now getting a tremendous amount of pressure, is why should a taxpayer here in Fargo or in Miami or in Texas bail out a crappy bank in California? What does that have to do with their problems? They're dealing with their own issues in these states that are better run at the regional bank level. And maybe we should take stock of every state and see how they're doing in managing their regional banks, which really are loaning most of their money to real estate. So if you have bad policy in New York or Massachusetts or California, well, of course your bank's going to go to zero because you're not running a very good economy. And I think it's now time to talk about that. I don't want to pay tax to bail out everybody, everywhere, all of the time. And I'm just one voice. But there's a lot of voices like mine chiming at her.
Well, that's where this always leads. I mean, I'm amazed more people don't understand that that is precisely where this always leads. Now, I just want to ask you a couple follow-ups, because you and I had a great talk on the radio over the weekend. Well, first of all, about North Dakota, which is very interesting. Second of all, you're not convinced that regional banks are so necessary that they pose systemic risk and should be bailed out. And now I just want to say, I have nothing against regional banks. I don't really have a position on regional banks. I have a position against universal uninsured deposits. That's a bailout. But you're not convinced that we have to save these, shall we say, mid-sized banks. Can you tell us why?
Well, no, here's what I say. If you want to run a regional bank network in your state, you eat it. It's yours. I don't have to guarantee it. If you want to talk about money center banks and giant behemoths, okay, I get the imputed guarantee because that's the core infrastructure. But let's use North Dakota as the example. They want to have regional banks because this is an ag tech state, a really successful one. Makes a lot of money on energy and agriculture and has a lot of attributes that are important. And they feel that they need regional banks to support this agrarian, very successful economy. They run it statewide. It's their state bank. They take care of it. They make sure it works. They take care of problems. If you want to get a loan on a house 100 miles from Fargo or Bismarck, you go to the bank there and they say, well, there's no liquidity. I can't get it appraised. Let's go talk to the North Dakota State Bank and see if they can assist. And they do. They take care of their own, and they eat it when they make a mistake, which they never do, by the way. Why can't we do that in California? Let them set up their own state bank, and they eat it. They take care of their own, because I don't want to pay for poorly managed economies and poorly managed banks.
Right.
And remember, what was going on at Silicon Valley Bank was really speculative loans. Well, they don't do that here in North Dakota. They don't do stupid things like that, and they take care of their banks that way. Well, why can't we put some responsibility on the states as opposed to taking care of everybody? And if you run a bad state, if you have bad policy, if you can't run an economy, you're overtaxing everybody and your banks fail, you eat it. That's what I say.
Well, you've said this before, these big blue states, I mean, it's no surprise so far. The banks that have gone down are in, guess where? California and New York. You refer to them correctly as massively over-regulated states that got tax problems, too. It can't be a coincidence. So why does the rest of the country have to finance their mistakes? Why?
Well, I agree. But, Larry, let me point out something I think people can understand. And don't shoot the messenger. This is by the numbers, okay? I'm here in Fargo, a few yards away, Minnesota, a town called Moorhead. 25 years ago, both towns had 50,000 people in them. Now, I don't want to get into politics. I want to get into policy. You got policy in Minnesota. You got policy in North Dakota. 25 years later, look at Fargo. 250,000 people here. Second largest Microsoft campus in the country. Massive biotech, pharma businesses, ag tech, you name it, arts, massive educational infrastructure, wildly successful. Go across the bridge, the place looks like Cuba. There's only 30,000 people living in Moorhead now. It's a wasteland. What's the difference? Policy. Bad policy. Now, why do I have to pay for bad policy? Why should I bail out a bank there if I've got great policy here? And people have made their own decision, Larry. They moved across the bridge just a few yards, raised their families here, grew their businesses here. I rest my case, Your Honor. Bad policy hurts America.
100%. You know what? We're going to North Dakota. Kevin Cramer, Senator Cramer, good guy, is organizing a trip. I'm going to go out there. We got airplanes lined up. We got everything. You're going to come with us. You're going to come with us. It'll be fabulous. Now, Kevin, I have, you know what?
Larry, you got to take me. I know where to eat here. I know all the good restaurants.
I'm going to take you because I never set foot in North Dakota. I've been to South Dakota, and I'm very proud. The South Dakota State's women's basketball team is doing very well in the finals, but I've never been to North Dakota. We're going to go this summer. So I take it, Kevin, that you are not going to, I know you're not buying Silicon Valley Bank anymore. I tried to talk you into that last week. You are not going to buy First Republic. Can I quote you on that? You are staying away from First Republic Bank, Jamie Dimon notwithstanding.
Larry, you can go farther than that. I'm not investing a dime in California or New York or Massachusetts or Minnesota. It's time to take account of policy.
You're right, 100%. Kevin O'Leary, the best of the best, star of Shark Tank, Mr. Wonderful. We will see you very soon.